Hopelessness has a voice, doesn't it? It tells you you're alone, that tomorrow will be no better than today. And yet, even in that silence, there is a presence within you, greater than fear, greater than failure, greater than the weight of despair. Joseph Murphy devoted his life to unveiling this secret, that when you turn inward to God, you touch a source of strength that cannot be exhausted, a wellspring that never runs dry. Those who came to hear him did not come for theories. They came for light in their darkest night, and light is what they found. For Murphy knew this truth. Hopelessness is only the forgetting of who walks within you. He spoke to remind the weary that the infinite is not far off in the distance, but alive in the very depths of your being. To turn within is not retreat. It is to open the door to the one who makes all things possible. And now you stand at that door, not by accident, not by chance. The words you are about to hear have lifted hearts bowed in despair, restored minds crushed by fear, renewed lives that thought their story had ended. They have outlived the man himself because they belong to something eternal, a law that does not change, does not fail, and does not sleep. So pause, breathe, set aside the shadows of yesterday and the weight of unanswered questions. Step into this moment as if entering a sacred hall. For the words ahead will not leave you where they find you. They will guide you back to the God within, where hope is born again and again. Prepare your heart, quiet your mind, for once you receive this truth, hopelessness will no longer have the final word. Now, let the words of Joseph Murphy open your eyes to the presence within, and watch what happens when you turn to God in your hour of need. And now, we begin.
What if I told you that the very moment you feel most abandoned, most powerless, most hopeless, you are in fact standing on the edge of a miracle? That the breaking point you fear is often the doorway to a greater power already within you. Many people believe that hopelessness is the end of the road, but the truth is far more startling. Hopelessness is not the end. It is the signal to turn inward, to the God within, the source that never leaves, never fails, never withholds. The secret is this: when you look within instead of without, when you call upon the infinite presence that dwells in your own subconscious, circumstances begin to shift in ways you cannot explain, doors open that you never saw, and strength rises from a place you thought barren. When you feel hopeless, you are closer to transformation than at any other time, because all your outer props are stripped away, and only the eternal remains. Hopelessness often whispers lies. There is no way out, there is no help, there is nothing you can do. But those are not truths, they are suggestions. And suggestions only have power if you accept them. The moment you reject them, the moment you replace them with the higher truth that God's presence is within you, the entire balance of power shifts. For the subconscious, that silent servant of your destiny, responds instantly to the strongest impression it receives. If you feed it despair, it will express despair. But if you feed it divine assurance, it will express strength, wisdom, and victory. That is why Scripture declares, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Trouble is not the absence of God, it is the invitation to discover Him within. Say it quietly to yourself. God is within me now, and His wisdom guides me. I knew a man who faced ruin in his business. Every door seemed shut, every account lost, every partner turned away. He said to me, I feel utterly hopeless. I see no way out. I told him, stop declaring hopelessness, for every I am is a command to your subconscious. Say instead, I am guided by infinite intelligence. The right way opens before me now. At first he resisted, for his eyes saw only failure. But he obeyed, repeating it nightly, imagining light guiding his path. Within weeks, new clients appeared unexpectedly. An old debt was paid, and his affairs revived. What happened? Nothing magical, only lawful. He stopped impressing defeat and began impressing guidance. The subconscious accepted the new command, and life expressed it. Remember this always: what you impress is expressed. Say it aloud now so it burns into your being. What I impress, I will express. Hopelessness often drives people to prayer, but many pray as beggars instead of masters. They cry, plead, and wail, believing God is far away and must be persuaded to intervene. But true prayer is not begging, it is aligning. It is impressing upon the subconscious the reality of God's presence already at work. Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. He did not say it is in the sky, in another man, or in a distant age. He said it is within. To pray rightly is to affirm that kingdom, to declare its reality, to let it fill the imagination until it feels more real than the hopelessness outside. This is why the law of life is called the law of belief. For it is done unto you, not as you cry, but as you believe. Say it with me. It is done unto me as I believe. There was a woman afflicted with despair after years of sickness. Doctors had failed her, medicines had not worked, and she told me, "I feel hopeless." I said, "Then you are in the perfect place to find God within. For when all else fails, the eternal still remains." Begin to affirm. The healing presence of God flows through me now. Every cell of my body responds to divine order. I am whole. She wrote it down, she whispered it through tears. She let it become her lullaby at night. Slowly the gloom lifted, and in time her health returned. The cause was not luck, but law. Her subconscious had been fed despair. It expressed despair. When it was fed healing, it expressed health. Do you see the principle? The subconscious is impartial. It gives you what you plant. The soil does not mock the seed, it only grows it. Many of you listening now have whispered to yourself, "I can't go on, there is no hope." But I tell you, this is the most dangerous affirmation you can make, for the subconscious takes it as command. Never finish a negative sentence. If you begin, "I feel hopeless," immediately replace it with, "But God is my hope, my strength, my refuge now." If you start, "I cannot," quickly change it to, "I can," through the power of God within. Train yourself to reverse every negative, and soon the subconscious will hold only the positive. This is not denial, it is discipline. You are refusing to plant weeds and choosing instead to sow roses. And what you sow, you must reap. Hopelessness is also conquered by vision. Your subconscious accepts what you vividly imagine. If you see yourself in despair, despair grows. But if you see yourself rising, guided, victorious, the subconscious accepts that too. One girl I knew feared she would fail her audition. She imagined humiliation and her body trembled. I told her, reverse the picture. Imagine yourself singing with confidence, the audience applauding, joy filling you. She did, and the fear dissolved. At her audition, she sang flawlessly. Why? Because the subconscious accepted the new image and expressed it in action. So when you feel hopeless, paint a new picture. See yourself guided, healed, and free. Hold it until it feels real, and life will mirror it. Do not be deceived. Your subconscious is always at work. It never rests. Day and night, it molds your life according to your belief. You cannot shut it off, but you can direct it. If you neglect it, fear and hopelessness will plant themselves. But if you guard it, feed it truth, impress it with God's presence, it will shape a life of harmony. The responsibility is yours, but so is the reward. Say to yourself tonight, "I am the captain of my soul, I am the master of my fate. God within me is my strength, and I am guided by His wisdom now." Write it down, whisper it, engrave it on your heart. For once impressed, it must be expressed. Now let us seal this first step together. Say with me slowly, not as empty words, but as decree. I am one with God within. I am guided, I am healed, I am free. Hope rises in me now, for divine love never fails. Write it, whisper it, believe it. Let it sink deep into your subconscious, for as surely as night follows day, what you impress tonight will be expressed in your tomorrow. Hopelessness is not a curse placed upon you by God. It is the shadow cast when you forget His presence within. The instant you turn back to that presence, the shadow dissolves. Think of a dark room, one spark of light, and the darkness flees. So it is with your despair. You need not wrestle with it endlessly. You need only turn on the light of divine awareness, and hopelessness loses its power. The law of life is this: the greater impression rules. If you impress fear deeply, fear rules. But if you impress faith more deeply, faith rules. The stronger seed takes the soil. So when hopelessness comes, do not feed it with your attention. Impress instead the greater truth: God is within me, and His wisdom guides me now. Say it with me, and let it engrave itself upon your mind. God within me is my guide, my light, my strength. A man once told me he felt trapped in a pit of despair after losing everything he owned. His friends abandoned him, creditors pressed him, and he confessed, "I am finished. I see no way. I told him, you are not finished, you are at the threshold. Begin to speak life instead of death. Declare, the infinite opens a new door for me now. I am guided to prosperity. I rise stronger than before. Though at first he mocked the words, he obeyed, whispering them nightly until they felt true. In a short time he met a former associate who offered him new work, and from there his fortunes revived. He said to me, it was as if life lifted me out of the pit. It was not life alone, it was law. He stopped commanding his subconscious with despair and began commanding it with hope. The servant obeyed, and life reflected it. Hopelessness always grows from the belief that you are powerless, that there is nothing beyond your weakness. But this is the greatest lie of all. For within you dwells the very life principle that created galaxies, the same intelligence that designed your body, the same presence that keeps the stars in their course. Shall that presence fail at your small request for healing, guidance, or strength? Never. Your subconscious, connected to that infinite power, contains the answer to every problem, the strength for every trial. The only question is, will you believe it? Will you dare to turn from despair and declare, I can because God is within me? Say it now, I can because God is within me. Write it on paper. Whisper it until it feels real. Let your subconscious hear it and accept it. One woman told me she had prayed for years for release from sorrow, yet nothing changed. I asked her, what is the last thought you carry before sleep? She admitted, I replay every disappointment. I tell myself I am hopeless. And so her subconscious, listening, created more of the same. I told her, change the night song. As you close your eyes, affirm, divine love fills me. God is my refuge and my strength. Tomorrow unfolds in harmony. Let that be the impression as you drift into sleep. She obeyed, and soon her life began to soften. Opportunities for joy appeared, and the heaviness lifted. This is no accident, it is precision. The subconscious accepts whatever dominates it at the moment of slumber, and it expresses it by morning. Choose carefully what lullaby you sing to yourself, for it becomes the music of your life. Do not imagine that hopelessness is something outside of you pressing in. It is inside of you pressing out. It is an impression on the subconscious, expressed as despair in your life. And since it comes from within, it can be dismissed from within. You cannot always control the storm around you, but you can control the command you give your subconscious. And once the inner command changes, the storm must obey. Hopelessness has no root except belief. Uproot the belief, and the hopelessness dies. Plant belief in God's presence, and hope blossoms. Life always responds to the dominant seed. I remember a case of a girl paralyzed by fear before her examinations. She said, I am certain I will fail. I told her, you have already failed inwardly, and the subconscious will obey unless you change the decree. Replace it now. Say with feeling, infinite intelligence guides me. I remember with clarity, success is mine now. Visualize yourself writing confidently, handing in your paper with ease. She did, night after night, until her fear weakened and her faith strengthened. On the day of the exam, she performed brilliantly. The outer followed the inner, as it always does. Do you see the law? What is impressed is expressed, and despair, like failure, is only an impression that can be replaced. When you feel hopeless, resist the urge to declare it as final truth. See it instead as a signal, a reminder that you have neglected to turn within. Hopelessness is the warning bell that says, you are trying to face life in your own strength. Return to God. And when you do, you find that the very place you thought empty is filled with life. The valley of despair becomes the passage to renewal. For as you surrender your weakness to the infinite, His strength arises in you. This is why Paul wrote, when I am weak, then am I strong. Weakness is not the end. It is the doorway to divine strength within. So I urge you now, do not allow hopelessness to write the script of your life. Take the pen back. Impress upon your subconscious the words of life, not death. Say with me, I am guided by infinite wisdom. I am lifted by divine love. I am free from fear, free from despair, free from hopelessness. God within me is my refuge and my strength. Write it, whisper it, engrave it. For once the subconscious accepts it, hopelessness must vanish and hope must rise. Hopelessness feeds on repetition. on the constant rehearsal of failure, disappointment, and fear. Each time you tell yourself, I cannot, or there is no hope, you are watering that poisonous seed in your subconscious, and like any seed, it grows. But you are not condemned to harvest thorns forever. You can change the planting. You can uproot the old seed by starving it of attention and plant a new seed of faith, repeating it with persistence until it takes root. This is the power you hold tonight, the ability to stop rehearsing despair and start rehearsing hope. The subconscious does not care what you give it. It only grows what is planted. Why plant weeds when you can plant roses? Why sow death when you can sow life? Say this within yourself: I choose to sow life, for the law of life is the law of belief. I knew a young man who struggled with deep depression. He said to me every night, I lie in bed imagining the worst. I see myself failing, rejected, alone. His subconscious took those images as orders, and life reflected them back. I told him, reverse the film. Before sleep, see yourself walking tall, embraced by friends, succeeding in your endeavors. Say with conviction, God within me is my light. I am guided in love. I am strong. At first he resisted, claiming it felt false, but I urged him to persist. Slowly the images began to feel natural, and as they did, his life began to change. Friendships formed, opportunities appeared, and his countenance lifted. The world called it recovery. I call it law. He replaced despair with hope, and the subconscious expressed what was impressed. Never underestimate the images you hold in mind, for the subconscious is impressionable like wet clay. The picture you mold with thought and feeling hardens into the structure of your life. Hold a picture of failure, and life builds failure. Hold a picture of victory, and life builds victory. The subconscious cannot tell the difference between what is vividly imagined and what is physically present. It accepts both as real, and once accepted, it expresses them. This is why Jesus declared, according to your faith be it unto you. Faith is not vague. It is the picture you choose to hold as real. So when you feel hopeless, choose a new picture. See yourself healed. See yourself prosperous. See yourself free, and hold it until it feels real. For once the subconscious accepts, expression must follow. Hopelessness is most dangerous when it seeps into your words. Every I am hopeless, every I cannot go on is a decree. The subconscious hears it, records it, and obeys. Therefore guard your I am as you would guard a throne. Attach only that which you desire. Do not say I am weak. Say I am strong through God within. Do not say I am lost. Say I am guided by infinite wisdom. Do not say I am broken. Say I am whole, for the healing presence flows through me. Your words are commands, and the subconscious executes them with precision. So speak carefully, deliberately, reverently, for your words today are the seeds of your tomorrow. A woman once told me her greatest torment was feeling unloved. She would say constantly, no one cares for me, no one wants me. Her subconscious, hearing this drumbeat, shaped her life accordingly. People turned away, doors closed, affection seemed absent. I told her, stop declaring what you do not want. Begin declaring what you desire. Affirm daily, divine love fills me. I radiate love, and love returns to me multiplied. She obeyed, though at first she felt foolish, but persistence won. Soon she reported that people began treating her differently. Friendships blossomed, and her heart was filled. What changed? Not the world, but her inner decree. She stopped commanding loneliness and began commanding love, and the subconscious obeyed. This is the law, and the law cannot fail. Remember always that hopelessness thrives on focus. If you stare at your problems, they magnify. If you stare at God within, your problems shrink. The subconscious magnifies what you dwell upon, like a lens focusing light into fire. If you dwell on despair, despair consumes you. But if you dwell on God's presence, His wisdom, His love, then hope ignites, courage rises, and life adjusts. The power was never outside. It was always your focus, your impression, your decree. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot dwell on despair and expect peace. Choose your master tonight. Choose the God within, and hopelessness will vanish like mist before the morning sun. One student told me she lived in constant fear of failure. Every time she prepared for a task, she imagined disaster. I told her, you are rehearsing failure inwardly, and your subconscious is staging the play outwardly. Rehearse success instead. Before each task, imagine yourself calm, capable, triumphant. Say with conviction, divine intelligence works through me. Success is mine now. She followed the instruction, and the fear melted. In its place came confidence, and with confidence came achievement. The principle was simple. What she rehearsed inwardly, she performed outwardly. So too with you. If you rehearse hopelessness, life performs despair. If you rehearse hope, life performs victory. Do not think the subconscious is cruel, because it expresses your fears as well as your faith. It is not cruel, it is just. It is impartial. It reflects what it receives. Fire will burn or warm. Water will drown or quench. Law will bless or curse, depending on how you use it. The subconscious is the same. Use it ignorantly, and it expresses despair. Use it wisely, and it expresses hope. The choice is yours, and the law never fails. That is why Scripture declares, choose life, life and death, blessing and cursing. Hope and despair are set before you in thought. Choose wisely, and life will mirror your choice. Now let us seal this moment with affirmation. Say with me, I am filled with divine hope. I am guided by infinite wisdom. I am loved, strong, and free. Hopelessness has no place in me, for God within me is my strength and my song. Write it, whisper it, believe it. Let it sink into the soil of your subconscious, and the harvest will follow. For the law is certain, what is impressed will be expressed, and hope once planted cannot fail to bloom. Hopelessness is a fog that blinds you to the truth of your own power. Yet even in the thickest darkness, the light within you never goes out. It waits for your recognition, and the instant you turn to it, the fog begins to lift. Many people mistake hopelessness for reality, as though despair were a fixed condition that cannot be altered. But hopelessness is not reality. It is only an impression impressed upon the subconscious, and like all impressions, it can be changed. The question is never, can I be free? The question is only, what am I impressing upon my mind right now? For the law of life is the law of belief, and the subconscious always expresses what you truly believe. Whisper it quietly now. The law of life is the law of belief, and I choose to believe in God within me. I recall a man who lived under the crushing weight of financial ruin. He came to me saying, I am doomed. There is no way forward. His eyes were hollow, his voice heavy, his whole being radiated despair. I told him, you are not doomed. You are declaring doom, and your subconscious is obeying. Change the decree. Begin affirming. Infinite supply sustains me. I am prospered by divine law. Abundance flows through me now. At first he scoffed, for his outer eyes saw only death, but I pressed him to persist. He repeated the words nightly. Let them carry him into sleep, and slowly the feeling of doom weakened. Then opportunities began to appear. A new client, an unexpected repayment, a chance for expansion. His life turned because his inner command turned. The subconscious heard a new decree, and the outer world mirrored it faithfully. Hopelessness thrives on repetition of the past. People chain themselves to yesterday's failures, telling the same story of disappointment over and over until it becomes a prison. But the subconscious is not limited by the past. It is limited only by the belief you hold now. If you keep saying it has always been this way, your subconscious ensures it remains that way. But if you dare to say, it is different now, for God within me makes all things new, then you plant a new seed, and the harvest must follow. Life is not a circle of endless repetition. It is a field awaiting new planting. And the moment you impress a new idea, the cycle changes. Say this with me. God within me makes all things new. I once knew a woman who spent years in bitterness after betrayal. She said, I can never forgive. I can never heal. I am hopeless. Her subconscious, receiving these declarations, kept her trapped in sorrow. Her body racked with illness, her life devoid of joy. I taught her to reverse the decree. Each night, she was to affirm, I release the past, I am free. Divine love heals me now. I am whole. At first, she wept as she spoke, but she persisted. Slowly, the bitterness dissolved. Her health improved, and she walked with lightness again. Forgiveness was not merely moral, it was liberation. She stopped commanding her subconscious with hopelessness and began commanding it with freedom. The soil of the mind bore a new harvest because a new seed was sown. Do not be deceived by appearances. Hopelessness convinces you that what you see is final, that no change is possible, but appearances are only the shadow of belief. Change the belief and the shadow must shift. The subconscious is not bound by appearances. It is the power that creates appearances. That is why Jesus said, "Judge not according to appearance, but judge righteous judgment." Do not call hopeless what God calls possible. Do not call final what divine law can still transform. The moment you accept the higher truth, the moment you impress it with conviction, the subconscious begins reshaping the outer to reflect it. Appearances are temporary. Belief is destiny. Hopelessness often hides in the language of delay. People say, "One day I will heal, one day I will prosper, one day I will find peace." But one day never comes, for the subconscious only knows the eternal now. If you declare one day, you are forever postponing your good. Instead, affirm in the present tense. Say, "I am healed now, I am prospered now, I am at peace now." The subconscious takes now as fact and expresses it accordingly. Time bends before belief, and what seemed distant begins to manifest swiftly. Never put your hope in the uncertain future. Plant it in the certain present. For faith always speaks in the language of now. There was a girl who feared she would never succeed in her studies. She said, "I always fail. I always forget." Her subconscious, obedient as ever, produced more failure. I told her, "Never finish that sentence. Reverse it. Declare, 'I succeed with ease. Divine intelligence guides my memory. I recall with clarity. Success is mine now." She practiced, visualized herself passing with joy, and soon she excelled. What changed? Only the inner decree. The subconscious was not partial. It simply followed the command given. And when the command changed, the result changed. Never forget this. Hopelessness is not truth. It is only a mistaken command, and you have the power to reverse it. Hopelessness tells you that you are alone, abandoned, forsaken. But this is the greatest illusion of all. For God within you never leaves, never withdraws, never withholds. His presence is constant, waiting only for your recognition. When you affirm, "God is my refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble," you awaken to that presence. You realize that hopelessness is only the shadow cast by forgetting Him. The moment you remember, the shadow vanishes. You were never abandoned, you only believed you were. And belief became expression. Now choose a new belief. I am never alone. God within me is my strength. So let us seal this truth with a decree of hope. Say with me, "I am guided by infinite intelligence. I am healed by divine love. I am prospered by eternal supply. I am free from despair. For God within me makes all things new." Write it, whisper it, impress it deeply. Let your subconscious carry it into the silence of the night. For what you impress tonight, life will express tomorrow. And hopelessness, once reversed, will dissolve into the rising sun of divine hope. Hopelessness is the voice that says, "You have tried everything and nothing works." But the truth is, you have not yet tried turning wholly within to the God who never fails. The world exhausts you with false remedies, temporary comforts, and fleeting promises. But within you lies a presence that is eternal, unchanging, and inexhaustible. When you stop running to the outer and begin listening to the inner, the tide shifts. Hopelessness loses its grip the moment you stop feeding it with outer dependence. The law of life is this: what you acknowledge inwardly becomes your reality outwardly. Acknowledge fear, and you live in fear. Acknowledge God's power within, and you live in freedom. Say this with me, not as mere words but as command. I acknowledge God within me now, and His power guides my life. I recall a man who came to me after years of disappointment in relationships. He told me, "No one will ever love me. I am hopeless." His subconscious, faithful as always, reflected his decree, and so he experienced rejection after rejection. I told him, "Stop planting weeds. Start sowing roses." Each day affirm, "Divine love enfolds me. I radiate love, and love returns to me multiplied." He practiced, though at first his heart was heavy, but over time his subconscious accepted the new belief, and soon he met a woman who loved him deeply. His hopelessness was not destiny, it was a mistaken seed. Once uprooted and replaced, life bore a new harvest. Never forget, the soil of the subconscious does not judge. It simply grows what you plant. Hopelessness is also born when people mistake delay for denial. They pray once, affirm once, and when the harvest does not appear instantly, they declare, "It didn't work, I am hopeless." But the subconscious is like a field. You do not plant today and harvest tomorrow. You plant, you water, you wait and trust, knowing that the seed must sprout in its season. Impatience uproots the seed, but faith guards it. If you affirm daily with conviction, the subconscious cannot fail to express it. The harvest may be swift, or it may ripen slowly, but it is certain. Say this to yourself: "My faith is patient, and my seed must grow." Write it, whisper it, believe it. For impatience is despair, but patience is hope in action. I remember a woman who longed for healing, but constantly examined her body, waiting for proof. Each time she felt the same pain, she cried, "It hasn't worked, I am hopeless." I told her, "Stop looking for evidence in the flesh. Look instead to the unseen." Affirm, "The healing presence of God flows through me now. Every cell responds to divine order. I am whole." Trust the process. Rest in faith. She obeyed, and though weeks passed without change, she persisted. Slowly her body responded. The pain dissolved, and she was restored. Hopelessness had chained her to appearances. Hope freed her by faith, where appearances are only shadows, but belief is substance. The law never fails when the seed is guarded. Hopelessness convinces you that your problem is unique, that no one has ever borne such a burden, that God Himself cannot help you. But this is pride disguised as despair. For the infinite that governs stars and sustains the oceans is not confounded by your difficulty. Your problem is not too great. It is only your belief in its greatness that enslaves you. The subconscious does not measure small or large, easy or hard. It only accepts conviction. Believe in failure, and even small problems crush you. Believe in God within, and even mountains move. Remember the words, "Whosoever shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and shall not doubt in his heart, it shall be done." The mountain is not the problem, it is your belief. Remove the belief, and the mountain must obey. I once counseled a student overwhelmed by fear of poverty. He told me, "No matter what I do, I end in lack." His subconscious, programmed by years of such decrees, kept him bound. I gave him a new affirmation: "Infinite abundance is mine now. Wealth flows to me freely. God is my supply." I instructed him to say it nightly, to imagine himself already in possession of wealth, to feel gratitude as though it were done. He obeyed, and soon opportunities arose, debts dissolved, and prosperity began to flow. The law was impartial. It had once reflected his belief in lack, but when he impressed abundance, it reflected abundance. Your hopelessness in money, health, or love is not reality. It is only belief. Change the belief, and the reality must change. Hopelessness often hides in silence, in the thought you never say aloud but repeat within yourself. You may smile outwardly but inwardly whisper, "I cannot, I am lost, I am finished." And the subconscious, hearing only that inner whisper, expresses it. Guard not only your spoken words but your secret words. They are the true commands. If you catch yourself thinking despair, reverse it instantly. Whisper instead, "God is my refuge. I am guided. I am strong. I am victorious." Make it a habit until the subconscious knows no other command. For victory is not in appearances. It is in the decree you impress. Do not surrender to hopelessness because you feel weak. Weakness is the very soil in which God's strength appears. Paul declared, "When I am weak, then am I strong." Why? Because weakness drives you to surrender the illusion of self-sufficiency and lean upon the infinite within. Hopelessness says you are alone, but faith says you are never alone. Hopelessness says there is no help, but faith says God is my help, my strength, my song. You must decide which voice you will believe. And once you choose faith, your subconscious will obey, and life will mirror hope instead of despair. Now let us plant a seed together. Say with me, "I am guided by divine wisdom. I am prospered by infinite supply. I am healed by eternal love. I am never hopeless, for God within me is my strength and my freedom." Write it, whisper it, declare it. Let it sink deep into the soil of your subconscious, for what is impressed tonight will be expressed tomorrow. and hopelessness will dissolve into radiant hope. Hopelessness makes you believe that your back is against the wall, that you have no options left, that life has cornered you into defeat. Yet it is in that very corner, when you feel most pressed, that the hidden door of God within is revealed. Hopelessness blinds you to it, but faith opens your eyes. You must understand, despair is not a condition of the world. It is a condition of the mind. The outer may seem impossible, but impossibility itself is only the reflection of an inner belief. Change the belief, and impossibility vanishes. The subconscious is not limited by walls. It creates doorways where walls appear. That is why the psalmist cried, "God is my refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." Trouble is only the shadow. God within is the substance. I recall a man who lay in a hospital bed, told by doctors that his case was hopeless. He whispered to me, "There is no way." I told him, "The doctors may have given up, but God within you never gives up." Stop repeating their decree. Begin now to declare your own. Say with me, "The healing presence of God flows through me now. I am whole, vital, alive." He began whispering it, weakly at first, but with persistence. Night after night, he let those words be the last impression before sleep. Slowly, strength returned, organs recovered, and he walked again. The world called it miracle, but it was law. The subconscious obeyed the stronger impression. Despair once ruled, but hope, impressed with conviction, displaced it. The soil did not choose. It simply grew the seed that was planted. Hopelessness is a thief, but only because you hand it the keys. It robs you of peace, health, and opportunity by persuading you to accept its suggestion. But you can revoke its power in an instant by rejecting its lie and affirming truth. Say within yourself, "I revoke despair. I accept faith. I choose life." These words are not empty. They are commands to your subconscious, and the subconscious must obey. Remember this, hopelessness is never imposed upon you. It is always chosen by belief, and belief can be changed. You are never trapped, for the prison is made of thought, and thought can be reshaped by the decree of faith. A woman once told me she felt doomed to failure in her career. She would say, "No matter what I do, I always fall short." Her subconscious, loyal to her command, built walls of resistance around her path. I told her, "Never again say those words. Replace them with infinite intelligence works through me, success flows to me, doors open before me in divine order." Write it, whisper it, repeat it until you feel it. She did, and soon the walls gave way, opportunities multiplied, and she advanced farther than she had ever imagined. Nothing outward had truly changed until the inner decree shifted. The subconscious, impartial and exact, simply mirrored the new impression. Hopelessness is always a false order. You must cancel it and issue the true command. Understand this. The subconscious mind never tires, never forgets, never sleeps. It is always at work, shaping your body, your affairs, your environment according to the impressions it receives. That means hopelessness is not just an emotion. It is a continuous program running beneath your awareness, and unless you interrupt it with faith, it will keep producing despair. But when you impress hope, faith, and divine assurance, the subconscious begins a new program. It builds health instead of sickness, abundance instead of lack, peace instead of turmoil. You are never helpless, for you are always programming. The only question is, what are you programming now? Hopelessness convinces you that prayer is useless. But true prayer is not begging, it is commanding. It is impressing the subconscious with the reality you desire until it becomes conviction. When you say, "I am guided, I am healed, I am free," you are not pretending, you are planting. And the subconscious, receiving the seed, must grow it. Do not look for instant results. Trust the process. The seed germinates unseen before it breaks the soil. So too with faith. The unseen work begins the moment you plant, and the visible harvest appears in due time. If you declare it isn't working, you dig up the seed. But if you declare it is done, it is growing, it is mine, the subconscious continues its perfect work until the harvest appears. One student told me he was terrified before a critical performance. He said, "I see myself failing, forgetting, collapsing." His subconscious was ready to obey that film. I told him, "Change the reel. See yourself calm, confident, triumphant. Say, 'God's wisdom guides me. Success is mine now.' Play that film until it feels true. He did, and the terror vanished. He delivered his best performance. The principle was exact. The subconscious expressed the impression received. If despair had remained, failure would have followed. But faith replaced despair, and success followed. The law cannot fail. Hopelessness may shout loudly, but remember, volume does not equal truth. The subconscious responds not to noise, but to conviction. You may whisper one phrase with deep belief, and it outweighs 1,000 shouts of despair. So do not be intimidated by the volume of your fear. Plant one seed of faith, guard it, and it will outgrow the weeds. Say with me now, I am whole, I am guided, I am free. God within me is greater than all fear. Write it, whisper it, engrave it, for the subconscious is listening, and what it accepts tonight will shape your tomorrow. Hopelessness is like a shadow that convinces you the light has vanished. Yet the light was never gone. It was only hidden from view. The sun behind the clouds still shines, and the God within you still lives, still breathes, still governs, waiting for your recognition. The mistake most people make in despair is that they stare endlessly at the cloud, forgetting that the sun remains. They analyze their problems, magnify them, discuss them endlessly, and in so doing they deepen the impression of hopelessness on the subconscious. But the law is precise. What you dwell on, you magnify. If you dwell on despair, despair expands. If you dwell on God's presence, His light expands. The law of focus is unbreakable. Say this quietly to yourself. What I focus on expands. Therefore I focus on God within me now. I knew a woman who said her entire life was nothing but disappointment. She would sit for hours recounting betrayals, rejections, and failures, and then sigh, nothing ever works for me. Her subconscious, faithful and impartial, simply echoed her decree in outer conditions. I told her, you must stop rehearsing tragedy and begin rehearsing triumph. Start speaking this daily. Divine order governs my life. Everything works together for good. God within me leads me to success. At night, imagine yourself walking in light, embraced by love, guided by wisdom. Reluctantly she began, and slowly her life changed. New friendships formed, opportunities came, and her eyes brightened. She had not been cursed. She had been rehearsing hopelessness. When she rehearsed hope, the stage of her life changed accordingly. Hopelessness also grows strong when you measure yourself by the outer world. You look at your bank account, your body, your surroundings, and declare, this is hopeless. But what you see now is only the harvest of yesterday's planting. If you judge the soil by today's weeds, you will never sow again. Yet if you sow a new seed today, tomorrow must bring a new harvest. The outer world is not prophecy, it is history. It shows what you once believed, not what you must believe now. The moment you plant a new conviction, the future is altered. Do not say, I am hopeless because of what I see. Say, I am hopeful because of what I now believe. The seed planted tonight is stronger than the weeds of yesterday. I once counseled a man overwhelmed by guilt. He said, I have failed too often. God will not forgive me, I am hopeless. His subconscious repeating the guilt kept him bound in shame. I told him, God within you is infinite love. He does not keep score, He restores. Begin affirming, I am forgiven, I am cleansed, I am made new. Divine love sets me free. Though at first he wept with doubt, he persisted, and soon he walked in peace. The guilt dissolved, not because the past was erased, but because the impression of condemnation was replaced by the impression of love. Hopelessness thrives on the lie that you are unworthy. But the truth is you are a child of the infinite, worthy of healing, worthy of abundance, worthy of peace. The moment you accept that truth, the subconscious must express it. Hopelessness is fed by comparison. You see others succeed, and you declare yourself doomed. But the law of life does not operate by competition, it operates by belief. Another's success does not diminish yours, it proves what is possible. If you say it is for them but not for me, your subconscious obeys and blocks you. But if you affirm what God did for others, He does for me now. Infinite supply knows no limitation, then the same law works for you. Stop comparing, stop envying, stop resenting. These are seeds of despair. Plant gratitude, plant faith, plant expectancy. Life is not scarce. The same sun shines on all. The same law works for all. Your subconscious does not ration. It responds. A young student once told me she was paralyzed by stage fright. She said, I know I will collapse in front of them. Her subconscious, accepting her decree, produced trembling and failure. I told her, change the order. Say instead, I am calm. God's wisdom speaks through me. I succeed with ease. See yourself performing with confidence. Feel the applause in advance. She did, and the paralysis lifted. Her performance was flawless. The law was exact. What she impressed, she expressed. Hopelessness is only the rehearsal of failure. Reverse it and success will follow. Do not think hopelessness will vanish by accident. You must confront it deliberately. Each time despair whispers, replace it instantly. Each time fear shouts, answer with faith. Each time your mind drifts into darkness, shine light by affirming truth. This is discipline, and discipline is the price of freedom. The subconscious cannot resist persistence. It eventually yields to the dominant impression, no matter how long the old has reigned. You may feel hopeless now, but if you persist in hope, the subconscious will bow to it. And when it bows, life will mirror the new order. Hopelessness is not your identity. It is a passing shadow, a temporary suggestion. Your true identity is in God within you, strong, guided, abundant, eternal. Each time you affirm this truth, the shadow retreats. Each time you dwell on despair, the shadow grows. The choice is yours in every moment. You cannot always stop the shadow from falling, but you can always turn to the light. And when you do, despair cannot last. For the light is eternal, the presence unchanging, the law unfailing. Say within yourself, I choose the light. I choose God within. I choose hope. Seal this moment with affirmation. Say with me, I am forgiven. I am guided. I am loved. I am whole. Hopelessness has no claim on me, for divine presence is my refuge and my strength. Write it, whisper it, let it burn in your heart. For once your subconscious accepts it, life must express it. The shadow will vanish and the sun of hope will rise over your tomorrow. Hopelessness is a lie that shouts louder the more you listen to it. It tells you there is nothing left for you, there is no way forward. You are finished. But the voice of God within you is a whisper, calm and steady, waiting for your recognition. The secret is to stop listening to the loud lie and to start listening to the quiet truth. For the subconscious does not measure noise, it measures conviction. You may whisper one word with faith and it outweighs 1,000 cries of despair. Say to yourself now, I choose to hear the voice of God within me. His whisper is my strength. His guidance is my way. His peace is my refuge. I remember a man who sat before me in utter defeat. He said, everything I touch crumbles. I am cursed. His subconscious, hearing this decree daily, obliged him with failure after failure. I told him, you are not cursed. You are commanding a curse by your words. Replace them now. Say instead, I am blessed by divine law. Everything I touch prospers. God within me guides me to success. He laughed bitterly, but I pressed him to persist. Reluctantly he obeyed. Night after night he whispered the new decree until it sank into his subconscious. Within months his fortunes reversed, and he prospered. Nothing mystical had occurred, only law. What he impressed, he expressed. Hopelessness had been his command. Blessing became his new command, and the law, impartial and exact, reflected it. Hopelessness thrives on the illusion of separation. It tells you that God is far away, that heaven is distant, that you must struggle alone. But the truth is eternal. The kingdom of God is within you. The presence you seek is not beyond the stars, not locked in temples, not hidden in books. It is within your very breath, your very heartbeat, your very subconscious. When you say, God within me is my guide, my strength, my healer, you are not creating something. You are recognizing what has always been there. Recognition is the key. The moment you recognize the presence within, hopelessness loses its ground. For how can you despair when infinite love, infinite wisdom, infinite power lives in you? I once knew a woman chained by grief after the death of her husband. She told me, my life is over. I am hopeless. Her subconscious, fed with these words, drained her body of strength, clouded her days, and bound her to sorrow. I told her, stop commanding death. Begin affirming life. Say, divine life flows through me now. I am renewed, I am restored, I am filled with peace. Picture yourself walking in light, smiling again. whole again. At first she resisted, believing her sorrow too deep. But persistence reshaped her belief. Slowly joy returned, health revived, and she lived again. The power was not in me, it was in her own mind, her own subconscious, her own God within. She turned from hopelessness to faith, and life obeyed. Hopelessness convinces you to magnify the problem. You speak endlessly of sickness, of poverty, of failure, and in doing so you hand your subconscious the blueprint to reproduce them. Stop magnifying the problem, magnify God. Stop talking about what is wrong, talk about what is true. Affirm, God is my help, God is my supply, God is my peace. For whatever you glorify inwardly expands outwardly. When you glorify despair, despair grows. When you glorify God within, hope, strength, and abundance grow. The law is impartial. It mirrors what you exalt. Exalt the infinite, and your life will shine with His light. I once counseled a student paralyzed by fear of exams. She said, I am hopeless, I always fail. Her subconscious prepared her body to tremble, her memory to falter, her mind to collapse. I told her, replace the script. Say instead, divine intelligence fills me. My mind is clear. My memory is strong. I succeed with ease. See yourself writing calmly, finishing with confidence. She obeyed, and the paralysis dissolved. On exam day she excelled. What changed? Not her ability, but her belief. The subconscious simply mirrored the stronger impression. Hopelessness had once ruled, but hope displaced it. Do not mistake hopelessness for humility. Many think it humble to say, I am nothing, I am powerless, I am hopeless. But true humility is recognizing God as your source, and in that recognition rising in strength. To deny your power within is not humility, it is ignorance. The infinite created you as a vessel of His presence. To declare hopelessness is to insult the gift. True humility says, of myself I can do nothing, but with God within me I can do all things. This is the balance. Acknowledge your human weakness, but declare your divine strength. And when you do, hopelessness cannot remain. Hopelessness says tomorrow will be no different. Faith says tomorrow is already new. Every day is a fresh canvas, and your subconscious is the painter. If you give it yesterday's colors of despair, it will reproduce the same gray picture. But if you give it new colors, faith, gratitude, expectancy, it will paint a sunrise. Do not chain yourself to yesterday. Say this now. I release the past. I embrace the new. God within me makes all things new today. Write it, whisper it, believe it, for each day is a new creation, and you are the artist through the law of belief. Now seal this truth with affirmation. Say with me, I am blessed, I am guided, I am renewed. God within me is my life, my peace, my supply. Hopelessness has no place in me, for I live in the certainty of divine love. Whisper it until it feels real. Write it until it burns into your heart. Let it sink into your subconscious. For once it is impressed, life must express it, and hopelessness will be replaced by radiant hope. Hopelessness convinces you that your problem is permanent, but permanence is an illusion. The subconscious mind is always changing, always reshaping life according to your belief. What seems fixed is only the reflection of a belief, repeated for so long it has hardened into form. But even the hardest stone can be reshaped by water, and even the deepest despair can be reshaped by faith. When you feel trapped, remind yourself, nothing is fixed but God, and God is infinite light, infinite wisdom, infinite love. All else bends before belief. Say within yourself, nothing is permanent but God, and God within me makes all things new. I recall a man who came to me bound by addiction. He said, I am hopeless. This has ruled me for years. I cannot break free. His subconscious had accepted the image of bondage, and so bondage was expressed. I told him, do not declare slavery, declare freedom. Say, I am free. Divine power within me sets me free now. Write it, whisper it, picture yourself already walking in liberty. At first he struggled, for his outer eyes saw chains, but he persisted, and slowly the inner conviction grew. In time the chains broke and he walked free. Was it magic? No, it was law. The subconscious simply obeyed the stronger belief. Hopelessness had ruled, but freedom displaced it. Hopelessness thrives when you dwell on the impossibility of your situation. You say, there is no way. But the subconscious, united with infinite intelligence, knows 1,000 ways you cannot see. It can move men, open doors, shift events, create opportunities beyond your calculation. Your role is not to figure out how, but to believe in the end. If you insist on calculating, you will despair. If you insist on believing, you will succeed. The how is God's domain. The belief is yours. Say this quietly. I believe in the end, and God within me provides the way. Write it, whisper it, repeat it. Let your subconscious accept it, and the way must appear. I knew a woman tormented by hopelessness in her body. Doctors told her condition was incurable. She wept, saying there is no hope. I told her, do not repeat their decree. Affirm your own. Say, the healing presence of God restores me now. Every cell vibrates with life. I am whole. Imagine yourself walking strong, smiling, free. She practiced faithfully, and though months passed, she held fast. Slowly her body responded, health returned, and she lived again. What happened? The subconscious, impartial and exact, accepted the new impression and expressed it. The law does not mock you, it serves you according to belief. If you impress despair, despair appears. If you impress healing, healing appears. Hopelessness convinces you to quit just before the breakthrough. It whispers, why persist? Nothing is happening. But the seed germinates unseen before it breaks the soil. The unseen work of the subconscious often takes time, and if you uproot the seed with doubt, you delay the harvest. Faith is patient. Faith knows the harvest is certain. When hopelessness tells you to stop, double your persistence. Say with me now, I persist in faith, for the harvest is sure. Write it, believe it, guard it. For persistence is the hand that waters the seed, and hopelessness is the drought that dries it. Choose persistence, and the harvest must come. I once counseled a student who said, I pray, but nothing changes. I asked, what do you feel when you pray? He answered, I feel fear. I feel doubt. And that was the seed he planted. Prayer is not repeating words, it is impressing belief. If you pray in fear, you plant fear. If you pray in faith, you plant faith. Change the feeling and the result changes. I taught him to pray affirmatively. God is within me. His wisdom guides me. His love surrounds me. It is done now. He practiced until faith replaced fear, and soon his circumstances shifted. Prayer had always worked. He had only been planting the wrong seed. Hopelessness is contagious. If you surround yourself with despairing voices, they will feed your subconscious with poison. But hope is also contagious. Surround yourself with voices of faith, words of truth, images of strength, and your subconscious will drink them in. Choose carefully what you read, what you watch, what you hear. The subconscious accepts all impressions, and they become your reality. If you feed on despair, you will live in despair. If you feed on faith, you will live in faith. Guard the gate of your mind, for what enters becomes seed, and seed becomes harvest. Choose wisely, for the harvest is certain. Hopelessness says you are powerless. Faith says you are heir to divine power. Hopelessness says you are alone. Faith says God within you never leaves. Hopelessness says tomorrow will be the same. Faith says tomorrow is already new. Which will you believe? Which voice will you impress? For the subconscious will not choose for you. It will only obey your choice. Say this now, not weakly but with command. I am not hopeless. I am guided, healed, and prospered by God within me. His presence is my strength. His wisdom is my light. His love is my freedom. Write it, whisper it, repeat it until it is carved upon your heart. For once the subconscious accepts it, despair cannot remain. Hopelessness is the great deceiver, convincing you that what you feel today will last forever. It paints tomorrow with the same gray brush as yesterday and whispers, nothing will ever change. But nothing in life is static except the eternal presence of God. Circumstances change, seasons change, bodies change, fortunes change, and belief changes. When belief changes, life must change with it, because the subconscious mirrors your deepest conviction. If you allow despair to be your conviction, despair will appear. But if you choose hope, if you dare to declare that God within you makes all things new, then newness must come. Say it within yourself now. God within me makes all things new, and I believe it. I once counseled a man who felt crushed by endless failures. He told me, "I am doomed to repeat mistakes. I am hopeless." His subconscious, obedient as always, made his words flesh. But I told him, "Never declare doom. Begin affirming, I am guided by divine wisdom. Each day I learn, each day I grow, each day I succeed." Imagine yourself rising from failure into triumph, and repeat it until it feels real. He obeyed, and slowly his life turned. New ideas came, opportunities opened, and he prospered. He was never doomed. He was only hypnotized by hopelessness. Once the hypnosis broke, law took its course. What is impressed must be expressed, and he had finally impressed victory instead of defeat. Hopelessness thrives when you look only to the outer world for proof. You say, "I will believe when I see." But the subconscious works in reverse. You must believe first, then you will see. Appearances are the harvest of past beliefs, not the prophecy of future ones. If you want tomorrow to be different, you must plant a new belief today. Do not let appearances dictate your conviction. Dictate your conviction, and appearances will follow. This is why Jesus declared, "Believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." Not see first, then believe, but believe first, then see. The subconscious accepts belief as fact, and once accepted, it reshapes life accordingly. I recall a woman who lived in constant fear of sickness. Each day she said, "I know I will fall ill. I am hopeless." Her subconscious, hearing this prophecy, made it real in her body. I told her, "Reverse the prophecy. Affirm, I am whole. Divine health flows through me. I am strong in body and spirit." Picture yourself walking with vitality, smiling with joy, radiating strength. She did, and slowly her body mirrored her new command. The subconscious had not betrayed her, it had only obeyed her decree. Once the decree changed, the result changed. Never say, "I am hopeless." Say instead, "I am whole, I am strong, I am healed." Write it, whisper it, impress it. For what you impress, you must express. Hopelessness also thrives on impatience. You declare faith for a moment, then look instantly for results. And when they do not appear, you sigh, "It isn't working." But the subconscious works like the soil. No farmer expects a harvest the day after planting. He plants, waters, and trusts the process. So must you. Do not uproot your seed with doubt. Guard it with patience. Faith is not measured by how loudly you declare it once, but by how persistently you hold it when nothing seems to change. Say this within yourself, "My seed grows in silence, and my harvest is certain." The subconscious is faithful. It always expresses the impression guarded with persistence. I once met a student who dreaded public speaking. He said, "I will forget my words. I will embarrass myself. I am hopeless." His subconscious, recording these declarations, made them true. He stumbled each time. I told him, "Change the decree. Say, I am calm. Divine intelligence speaks through me. I remember with clarity. I succeed with ease." Picture yourself speaking fluently, receiving applause. He practiced faithfully, and soon the fear dissolved. His next speech was a triumph. The principle was exact. What you rehearse inwardly, you perform outwardly. Hopelessness is simply the rehearsal of failure. Reverse the rehearsal, and success follows. Do not forget that every "I am" is a seed. Every time you say, "I am hopeless," you plant despair. Every time you say, "I am guided," you plant faith. The subconscious is impartial. It does not choose good or bad. It only grows what is planted. So take control of your words, especially the silent ones spoken only in your heart. They are the most powerful, for they are constant. Say daily, silently or aloud, "I am guided, I am healed, I am free." Let the subconscious hear it until it cannot resist, until it becomes the dominant impression, and then it must be expressed. Hopelessness tries to convince you that your weakness is your end, but weakness is only the stage for divine strength. Paul said, "When I am weak, then am I strong." Why? Because weakness forces you to turn inward, to stop depending on self, and start depending on God. When you do, His strength flows through you, and despair is replaced by power. Do not fear your weakness. Use it as the doorway to God's presence. Declare, "In my weakness, God's strength rises. My hopelessness is the soil in which divine hope blossoms." And as you impress this truth, the subconscious will express it, and strength will replace despair. Seal this truth with affirmation. Say with me, I am whole, I am guided, I am strong. God within me is my light, my wisdom, my strength, my supply. Hopelessness is a lie, and I reject it. I choose faith, I choose life, I choose God. Write it, whisper it, impress it deeply, for once the subconscious accepts it, life must reflect it. The shadow will flee, and tomorrow will shine with the light you plant tonight. When hopelessness comes, do not bow to it. Do not surrender to it. Do not let it write the last word of your life. It is only a shadow, and shadows cannot endure the light. The light is God within you, unchanging, eternal, ever-present, waiting for your recognition. Every law you have heard tonight, every truth declared, points you back to this one reality. You are never alone. You are never forsaken. You are never powerless. The subconscious mind, united with infinite intelligence, will shape your life according to the belief you impress. If you impress despair, despair will rule. If you impress hope, guided by God within, then peace, strength, and abundance will rule instead. The choice is yours, and the law never fails. Remember, the law of life is the law of belief. Say it now so it burns into your being. The law of life is the law of belief, and I choose to believe in God within me. Write it on paper, whisper it at night. Let it carry you into sleep. For what you impress tonight, you will express tomorrow. The harvest cannot be denied. So as you close your eyes, surrender every fear, every doubt, every whisper of hopelessness, and affirm, I am one with infinite love, infinite wisdom, infinite power. God within me is my strength, my refuge, my supply. I am healed, I am guided, I am free. Let this be the final word, the last impression before sleep, the seed planted in the soil of your subconscious. And tomorrow watch what happens, as hope rises, as doors open, as strength returns, as life mirrors the conviction of your heart. Now seal it with one last decree. Say it firmly, clearly, as command to your soul. I am one with God within. I am free of fear. I am filled with hope. My life is the expression of divine love. Let it sink deep. Let it live in you, and let the law bring forth its perfect harvest.